Just hours after Prime Minister Modi's detailed revelation on what actually happened when US Vice President JD Vance dialed him in the middle of Operation Sindoor. Remember, India has rubbished Donald Trump's claims of mediating or brokering any kind of peace between India and Pakistan, has come, not surprisingly, the American president's rant against India, along with the announcement of 25% tariffs and penalties. I'm Barkha. You're with the Mojo story. On the program today, we are looking at what Donald Trump's little rant against India that has been released just moments ago means for Indo-US relations. The timing is perhaps no coincidence. Trump's announcement comes just hours after the Prime Minister's big speech as part of the Operation Sindoor debate. One of the things the opposition repeatedly questioned the Prime Minister on was on America's role. For the first time, Modi provided a lot of details about what happened when America reached out to India and revealed that JD Vance had to try him a few times before Prime Minister Modi was able to speak with him. India has rubbished two claims by Donald Trump. One, that he mediated a ceasefire, and two, that there is any link between an Indo-US trade deal and the cessation in hostilities between India and Pakistan. India has repeatedly said that that request came from the Pakistan Director General of Military Operations after air bases in Pakistan were devastated by India's firepower. But now comes Trump's announcement. The 25% tariffs and penalties, a description of India's trade barriers as the most obnoxious anywhere in the world, calling India a friend but saying we've done little business because of these obnoxious non-monetary barriers, and also a swipe at India's purchase of energy from Russia, clubbing India and China in the same sentence. That's what Trump's post on Truth Social has to say. We'll look at those details in just a moment. Let's introduce our guests, our distinguished panel today, as we look at what this actually means, how we should read it, what this means for Indo-US relations, and also the timing. Joining me now is military veteran General Raj Shukla. Welcome to the program, sir. Good to see you. And also joining me is veteran diplomat Ambassador Mujeeb Puri. He was part, by the way, of the all-party delegations that traveled across the world. Ambassador Puri was there as a subject matter expert and distinguished diplomat. I bring in Operation Sindoor because I find the timing of Trump's statement very interesting, because clearly what Modi said didn't go down well with the Trump administration, or certainly with Trump. And we'll talk a little bit about that in just a moment. And also joining me is political analyst Rajat Sethi, who's driving somewhere, and I hope his signal does stay. Let's get first comments from you, Ambassador Puri. Surprised? There's the timing in a sense, and I'll play out exactly what the Prime Minister said. But do we join the dots between Modi's revelation of what happened when Vance called him? He made it a point to say that JD Vance had to call 2 or 3 times. Prime Minister was busy in meetings with the military. He then got onto a call with him, and Prime Minister Modi said it was, we made it very clear as a country that the call would have to come from Pakistan. And hours later, we see this angry statement on Truth Social from Donald Trump. Ambassador Puri, how do you see both the timing and the comment?
Barkha, thank you very much. This is not the time for me to take you back to Operation Sindoor when you were conducting these programs. And if you recall, many of us said that this is exactly what will happen. And this is exactly what happened. Now, I am not going into all that. Look, I'm an Indian. We believe what our government has said, and we very much believe that would have happened. Yeah. The other person, without any doubt, there was another source, the other side, they said, they jumped the gun, announced. Let's leave all of that out. Let's get down to this tariffs business. Look, let me not get into this timing and, why it was announced today, etc. I mean, let's be clear. It's not that the Americans don't know that we've been sort of denying and saying, no, this didn't happen. So did it reach the ears of President Trump? He's been repeating ad nauseum. I think the last count is 27 times he said, I did it.
Even earlier this morning, by the way. But anyway,
right.
Yeah.
So he said it. Now, that it's part of that particular thing, certainly it could be. But let's also remember that on this tariffs business, he's been at it with everyone. So let's understand the allies, the so-called allies. The European Union has been slapped with a 15% tariff. Even the British, who have been going out of the way, welcoming him at golf courses, etc., their baseline tariff is 10%. The Indonesians who said, he said it was a good deal, they've got 17%. Everybody's get it. So I think, in a sense, we should understand this was going to happen in some senses. We are still, by the way, negotiating. This is an announcement at the moment. You don't know what may happen after a month or so, whatever. Look, we have some serious sets of issues, our agriculture and so on and so forth. If I just take a minute of your time, India US trade is about $125 billion. We export about 85 billion and they export about 40. My convinced belief is this is not about duty rates. This is about balance of trade. And that's not going to be an easy thing, no matter how much we open up, because American goods do find it difficult to penetrate the Indian market. So when he says, they do a lot of other things, look, we are the way we are. We are a lower middle income country. Our abilities to afford many of those highfalutin things are limited. We are willing to buy copies and cheats and so on. That's the nature of a growing middle class society. And at the end of the day, what are the big things that you can buy from them? Crude petroleum, which is already a big part of the basket, military equipment and some stuff like that. They want to open agriculture. Difficult take as far as we are concerned. So I would take measured views of this. I know what it means. And let's look at what do we export to them. Drug formulations, there's a separate tariff policy on drugs. Will very easily United States become the hub of producing generics? I'm not sure. The other large exports are diamonds, etc. Come on, where else are you going to source them from? And at
So you're not alarmed? You're not alarmed?
I'm not overtly alarmed.
Okay.
I believe on all of this. Look, this was not something that was not coming. We all knew it. All that is true. And on the geopolitics of it, also, look, come on. Over the past 6 months, we've all adjusted ourselves to what it's all about. Let's continue our action, our relationship with them, our engagement with them. There could be some things on the tariff side. We just had them announce that the TRF is a designated entry. So, we are launching a satellite with them. So lots of things happen. It's a large relationship. Let's look at it in that sort of a manner. There are some ups, there's some downs. Let's not look at it in any other way.
So let me open this up. You say that you wouldn't attach too much meaning to the timing because, after all, India has repeatedly publicly rubbished the American claims, and Trump has continued to make them. Rajat, do you agree? Do you think there's no connection between the Prime Minister's very detailed exposition of JD Vance's phone call from the floor of Parliament, which, by the way, I think acquires a certain different context from, let's say, the MEA saying it at a press conference, or do you agree with Ambassador Puri कि ये तो होना ही था? ये होना ही था, and this is not the final word. There's a lot of saber rattling. Trump's style is to saber rattle, and then the negotiations happen. How do you see it, Rajat?
Well, I largely agree. I don't see that there is some kind of a causal link between what Prime Minister said in the Parliament and what President Trump is trying to announce today. The deadline is approaching. It's 1st of August, and he has several letters of tariff which are waiting to be, unleashed onto the world. And it is just one of those letters which he has just put out in the sequence of letters that will go out over the next 24 hours. So I see it only in that light. He's going to call out certain countries. The only X factor that I'm seeing in this announcement is that he wants a separate penalty on India, because India is procuring weapons from Russia. I think that is where it is. That's the core sort of discussion point in my view. Other things are still, largely expected. But if you start using tariffs as a way to, push foreign policies of other sovereigns, that is crossing the Rubicon, in my understanding. And it's a very strange situation for India. I mean, right now we are struggling, with our foreign policies also, and we are trying to, ensure that Pakistan remains cornered. And in this situation, when Trump tries to take this position, such extreme positions, and starts calling out India, I believe our defense position, our overall strategic friendship with US, everything gets into question. The public mood against US is or on the topic of US is right now at rock bottom. And I think
Yeah.
US and the planners in the US would be really wary of this thing, that the trust between the two countries is at such low levels. And I think that's
Yeah.
what is a permanent negative that has happened because of Trump policies vis-a-vis India.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you've actually mentioned the penalties, because I'm not sure that the penalties were expected to be part of the script. And this little clubbing General Shukla of India with China, the statement specifically says that India, along with China, is amongst the largest purchasers of Russian energies. And then he says in all caps, while we all want the fighting to stop in Ukraine. Also, this is all very ironic, because it's Trump who's been accused in the past of cozying up to Putin. It's Trump who's been accused of giving a dressing down to Zelensky in the White House, literally humiliating him for the clothes he wore and so on. But those ironies aside, for our strategic interests, what does this mean? Not the tariffs per se. I take Ambassador Puri and Rajat's point that maybe it's my journalistic imagination that kal Modi ji ye bole, aaj Trump aise bole. But this commentary on purchasing of Russian energy at a time when, Trump is trying to be a go-between between Russia and Ukraine as well. He's failed, but he tried. General Shukla, can you hear me?
You
Go
know,
ahead, sir.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can. I'm sure the powers that be in our establishment, now that they've been dealing with the Trump administration for a while, they would have had a whiff of what was coming. So if we are prepared, I have no problem. But may I suggest, that increasingly it appears to me that Trump is not just this mercurial character who gets up every morning rather, and a tweet here and a tweet there. I'm now getting a sense that he is a rather cold-blooded diplomat. And all that he's doing is part of a very well thought through strategy of his MAGA camp, these isolationists. And all that you see now, this protectionism, isolationism, look at the audacity. So now you will put a penalty if we buy oil. You will put a penalty if we buy weapons. I mean, what are you? This Maharaja of the world? But it is all part of this well thought through MAGA strategy, which is what, and I'll reiterate it, is just not about tariffs, it's about geopolitics. So what is this MAGA view, which Trump agrees with, which is to retreat from other parts of the world? They have concluded that they cannot fight China and Taiwan. They cannot deter China, and they are not willing to fight a nuclear war. So in a larger sense, US is backing away from Asia, backing away from theaters, and retreating into the Western Hemisphere. Now just put the other dots: Greenland, Panama, Canada. So the message he's giving is, listen, the Western Hemisphere is our sphere of influence. We will reign here. In the other theaters, he's walking back from the strategic military stuff. And he's only willing to, push the Chinese on economy and so far. The implication for us is this. I mean, it's a challenge, I think, for a strategic policy, foreign policy, our strategic autonomy. At a time when Russia is not in a position, persistent inflation, a slowing economy, looming recession, people say, it's not in a position to give military hardware. What is our choice? That is the real question. And look at the national security architecture. What we saw in the Middle East, unless you have an intimate alliance with somebody who has those kind of technologies, Israel, USA, space, EW, cyber, because the platforms are no longer good enough. You need all these technologies of the future. In our case, Pakistan gets it on a platter. So, yeah, of course, we'll deal with them. As Ambassador Puri was suggesting offline, we are a rising power. We'll have to deal with all these issues. But I see very grave challenges ahead. And Trump is far more than transactional. He knows what he's doing. America is going to walk back, and we will have to deal with this world on our own, especially the world's second biggest superpower, China, which is right here. I'm a fact of geography. And therefore, what is our partner? What are our choices for strategic autonomy? They really need to be thought through deeply. And my sense is that it is not happening in that deep integrated sense. It is, a reaction here, reaction there. Yeah. We must step up our game, in that sense. I'll just give you one more example. I was just watching a program or reading something. See, the game in AI is about chips and energy. Now, look at the competition. China may be a little behind in chips, but it is far ahead of the Americans in energy. And where are we in chips and energy? Unless America needs 92 gigawatts of power, which means 92 nuclear stations. They have three. I don't even see these conversations happening in India. So it's still not too late. We have to see what is the grand bargain between trade and technology and these other kind of stuffs, so as to secure India's rise. And I'll keep saying we have to plot our rise amidst all these challenges. We need to step up our game, and this is again a wake-up call.
Yeah, let me take this to Ambassador Puri. You said this is as expected. The point is that for all this while, in the midst of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, India has managed to make a kind of compelling argument of how our own interests lie in protecting our own people, meeting our own energy needs, looking after our own economy. I think just 2 days ago, India's High Commissioner to the United Kingdom, Vikram Doraiswamy, actually said what he wanted us to do, turn off our economy. But Trump, when he brings that up in a statement today, which actually has nothing to do with the tariffs debate or protectionism or barriers, it has nothing to do with that. Then he is using trade as an instrument of trying to direct or manipulate foreign policy. Point one. Point two, to me, this statement, this little rant, actually proves that Trump was lying when he was saying that, we've used trade in exchange for brokering, in getting the ceasefire between India and Pakistan. Because where is this great sweetened trade deal? Where is it? It's not there. This is the proof. Here it is, the proof. Ambassador Puri, go ahead, sir. So, sorry, I had a little rant of my own. Sorry, go ahead.
So, Barkha, if you want to somehow or the other prove what you've been saying, fine. I'm not.
No. I'm just putting it out as a thought. No. Please disagree.
So
please disagree. No, sir. Please disagree if you do.
Let's leave that out. Leave that out. Let's look at more serious element. Look, countries, this whole business. Why did they bring in, look at our needs? That's our argument. It's no issue as far as Mr. Trump is concerned. It's no issue as far as the European Union is concerned. They have lowered the threshold for the purchase of oil to such a point where maybe the Russians won't be willing to sell to us. So look, let's be very clear. India can no longer keep making the poverty argument. It's a very difficult argument if you say you want to sit on the high table. Okay, these are issues. This penalties business, I'm afraid, Rajat, it flows from the fact that the tariffs are on regular things and the penalties are on doing these other things which go against their sanctions. So how it will work out, etc., we'll see. These are not things that would not have been known for those who are in it. Look, and yes, because you and India and China are the big buyers. The fellow has said what he has said. Look, there is geopolitics to it. Trump is using tariffs for both purposes, his so-called MAGA purposes. Is it a good purpose? Most economists would disagree, and I would also disagree. I think come fall, if there's an inflation there, let's see what happens to the Christmas goods. Let's see what happens to all of this. We'll have a look. I don't want to jump to this. That he's such a cold, calculated guy, I don't think so. He's got some old-fashioned ideas of the way tariffs, etc. work. He's the boss of the largest economy in the world and something that contributes to 70% of global financial transactions. He's leveraging that like mad. And he's playing this game in a hardball sort of a manner. It's a purely transactional approach. That it is the United States, you can play this game very hard. These kind of things have been done by the US earlier also vis-a-vis Japan, Germany, etc. There are all these issues in the 1980s, 70s, and so on and so forth. Now we are facing it because for the first time, we are some kind of it. And we are a country of some consequence. Otherwise, we would have been like Vietnam or Honduras or whatever it is. It didn't matter. It matters too. It's a large amount. It's important.
You said you didn't agree with me. What do you specifically disagree with me on?
I was talking about that thing that whether he brokered or not. I don't want
to go sir. Nobody denies the Americans called. I think the point is that the debate is over front channel and back channel. These are two separate. I don't need you to tell me.
Barkha, let's leave it at this. I believe that, in the end, what happened was exactly what we said. They called, we accepted, and so on. That he jumped the gun is fine. The other guys play the game their own way. We are Indians. We should believe our people. Yeah,
of course.
But of course, I'm sure for some people it's not an exciting comment to make. So let's leave it at that. I think at the moment we are dealing with
Yeah.
things a little bit on a more serious plane.
Yes. Yes.
Economic consequences of all this,
Yes.
geopolitical consequences of all this. General Shukla is very right. Our challenges are this huge, massive behemoth right next to us, which in a sense thinks that, there's a kind of free ride on Trump taking on his own allies. That's a
Yeah.
different matter altogether. But on, let me say, some several other aspects of things, is the US an ally that you can go for? Look, for 20 years, our leaders have believed that they are, that this is the area to go to. But not many people are aware that, despite saying we're not allies, we've tried up so many agreements with them that in effect give so many aspects of access, etc., to the Americans. But let's leave that. Until Trump came, everybody thought it was normal. uh, Mr. Trump and his ideas about China, and I don't want to get into Russia, let's leave that aside. His
Yeah.
ideas about China, I would not be surprised at all, and I've said this right throughout. I wouldn't be surprised that he wants this, exactly what you are showing on your screen right now.
Yeah.
He wants
Yeah.
to do a deal with them, and he would be very happy with a deal. And if I look at it from the Chinese perspective, they played hardball in their negotiations. They played hardball, and he's in a sense happy at this kind of hardball game. And he plays
Yeah.
this 3 4 years. This goes on. The Chinese
I
say we see after 4 years what happens.
I
Where
could,
does it leave all of us? Very
by the way,
difficult.
on this, by the way, I mean, all of you know so much more than me, but I totally agree with your, this is a slam dunk comment that I think Trump will seek to do a deal with China.
Yep.
And we have an adversarial relationship with China. We know now that China provided live inputs in this war with Pakistan. And so I think General Shukla, Rajat is absolutely right that we have now challenges on multiple fronts. We have
Correct.
this fraught equation with Americans. We have China playing its duplicitous games. We have Pakistan patronizing terrorism. We have a damaged relationship with Bangladesh. And this is our neighborhood and the world. Now, I want to read out to you, coming back to tariffs. Prasad Duhuri in our audience section says, Barkha, the tariffs are not just 25%, they are 25% plus the Russia penalty, which might end up being a tariff, he says, of 50%. This means the Americans will have to pay this tariff because it will be passed on to the American consumer. Rajat, let's bring you in.
So I think there are two ways. One is a more patient sort of an outlook on what is happening. Will Trump chicken out this time? We don't know. Time will tell us. I think India, instead of being too giving a knee-jerk reaction to this, we should just take it with chin up, keep on negotiating as a matured country, as a mature trading partner with US, and not worry too much about the headlines and headline management, etc. That's my limited understanding. Play the long game. See, right now we need US. We need, Sir was talking about the strategic autonomy angles vis-a-vis us acquiring the required amount of weapons, co-developing weapons together, modern technology together. Then we have Trump coming into India for the Quad Summit as well. So there will be several joint platforms between India and US, which are being currently being discussed to be jointly inaugurated. And I believe this entire tariff story will be relegated to the backdrop once these bigger agenda items take primacy, and Trump is over the entire media-based positioning that he wanted to do around tariffs. Once all of that is over, quietly you will see things between India and US easing out, trade deals being easing out. Therefore, I would not jump onto the headlines and just try and chill out for some time and not worry too much. Things won't be bad.
Okay, so you and Ambassador Puri are kind of on the same side on this. General Shukla, you are concerned because there are multiple sort of stacking up, as it were, of security challenges that actually are very difficult to read. China is probably the toughest to read, right? Because I think India, in its wisdom, has probably, India's diplomats, India's government has probably anticipated exactly what Ambassador Puri said, that Trump may try and cut a deal with China. Our process of rapprochement has started alongside. Yet we are confronted with the reality that this country supplied weapons to China, I beg your pardon, to Pakistan, and also gave live inputs in this war. I mean, I think the Deputy Chief of Army called it like using a borrowed knife, right? So there's China. There is what's happening with the Americans, may stabilize. We don't know. Rajat and Ambassador Puri believe that it may stabilize. There's Bangladesh. There's, of course, Pakistan. And yes, the UNSC monitoring panel, which was looking at Al Qaeda and ISIS today, has named TRF, the resistance front, as having twice claimed responsibility for Pahalgam. So a lot of contradictions, a lot of balls in the air. Tough times to plan because so many contradictions.
Yeah. So, I'm not worried in the sense that I'm despondent. I'm worried in the sense that saying, let's wake up. There are big challenges coming. It's just not the old world. In that sense, I'm worried. Now, see, they're very interesting arguments, but let's just dabble with them. I heard Trump to a pointed question that when he does all this tariff stuff, the Americans will be required to pay $2,000 for an Apple iPhone. He said they will. Why is he saying that? He knows he has the political capital thus far so as to make the Americans pay that. That is worrying. This gentleman who put a message on the ticker.
Yeah.
If it is as simple as that the penalty for the tariffs are going to be paid by the Americans alone, तब दुनिया क्यों उसके सामने हाथ जोड़ के खड़ी है? From Ursula von der Leyen, everybody. So there are problems in this tariff business, and the MAGA camp is gambling. Now, whether their economic wisdom is better or Ambassador Puri's economic wisdom in the long term, Christmas and beyond, I'm not sure. I'm not an economist. But they are playing that game equally hard. That's the point I'm making. The second thing, is we have to make a choice now. Either we do the Ursula von der Leyen thing of, being a nice girl, smiling our way, and the tariffs get lowered, or we stand up. My hunch tells me that with Trump, you will only win if you stand up. But if you have to stand up, what are your tools? The Russians have the magnets. They have the rare earths. The Chinese. We do not have too many tools in the quivers of our statecraft, or at least they are not apparent to me. Third is, this is once again all part of that geopolitics stuff. India is a member of BRICS. Chalo, isko bhi laga. And the last point I would like to make, look at the Hobson's choice before us. I mean, Prime Minister Modi just went and did Indus and what is that other stuff? Trust, transformation and strategic technologies, innovation. With a transactional Trump for every technology they give you, I asked Rajat and Ambassador Puri, will he not put 20 conditions? He is transactional. Look at that F-35 deal. I'm not saying it's happening. If it has to happen, I'm told the software for F-35 has to be updated every week. Now, these are the challenges before us. If Samir Saran is to be believed, India is not getting to $10 trillion economy if it doesn't increase its trade with China, Now, there are weighty questions of, strategic, economic, technological challenges. And if we step up our game, of course, we will get over all this. But we need to step up our game. That's my bottom line every time.
Yeah. The same gentleman who asked the question, Prasad, he's responded to what you said, Rahul Shukla. He said, Barkha, the Republicans have introduced a bill for Trump to send $600 checks to every American for tariff relief. So the tariffs are being passed on. It will show in their economic inflation numbers. Somebody else whose name is Chili Paneer says India's biggest tool is the access to a market of 1.4 billion people. Yes, India is a big market. Sorry.
Very good.
Yes.
Intelligent debate. I'm not an economist, but the MAGA camp keeps arguing कि भाई पिछली बार जब उन्होंने ये किया था सारे डेमोक्रेट्स ने बोला था इन्फ्लेशन बढ़ेगा नहीं बढ़ा और इन्फ्लेशन किसका बढ़ा बाइडेन इन्फ्लेशन का. So I'm not an economist, but their economists are also not fools. When they are doing all this, they have thought through this. Now, who wins is a different matter.
Okay. I think Ambassador Puri wanted to come in and then Rajat. Ambassador Puri, go ahead. Yeah. Hang on, sir. I can't hear you. I can't. Yeah, now I can. Now I can. Yeah.
No. I don't want to get into all this Paneer or whoever it is saying all this.
अब उसका नाम ही वही है, पर मैं क्या करूं?
Very well spoken. Look, this business of tariffs, etc., and the MAGA camp, there's one fellow called Peter Navarro, and this man is, stuck in a certain times from the 1875s, etc. So, we'll see what happens. Let's not get into all this.
Yeah.
He's transactional. He is quite willing to do a deal with the Chinese. These are extremely worrisome matters as far as we are concerned. General Shukla
Yeah.
is absolutely right. You think he'll give you anything free? No chance. No chance. Friendship is friendship. It doesn't matter at all. And let's be very clear on this thing.
Yeah.
Therefore, the answer is exactly what General Shukla says. Stand up. Barkha, I don't want to get into domestic politics debates on all of this. That's where most of your answers lie. Why are we not going on? This big talk here, AI, AI. Last year, a few months from now, the big thing was this chat GPT was revealed. Okay, everything
Mm.
great, the whole world going hunky dory. Then 3 months later, those fellows came up with another one. What's happened to us? A little bit talk less, do a little bit more. You remember all those old stories. There's a lot to it.
Correct.
But on this current business of tariffs and all, let's keep up our engagements with them. We need them for the time being. We know they are a tough call. The gentleman is particularly difficult, etc., etc. Let's take this all because we have a much bigger hog right next to us and we don't
Yeah.
know what to do. Now, one more point I want to make you.
Mm.
All the people who say about open up with China and so on, believe me, I empathize with that. I look very much. We need them. We need to be clever and all is a different matter. Frankly, the kind of technologies we need, the kind of stuff that we need, we are not getting it. The Yanks don't have it. The Europeans have it. It's very expensive. That's the only source we have. You ask business people in India, and let's
Mm.
not try and say they don't understand politics. That's not true. They know very well what is good for the country. And frankly speaking, they need it. You try power transmission, BHEL, order book is booked for the last 25 years. You won't get it anywhere else. Look at what happened to Foxconn. These are facts. These are absolute facts. And so, therefore, knowing fully well that the Chinese are not just competitors, they are huge competitors, huge contestation, all massive. Yet be a little, let me say, less willing to, at the drop of a hat, say no visas, no imports, this, that, and the other. It's not doing your economy.
We just resumed tourist visas for China. So
Good idea.
obviously, yeah, yeah, it just happened just a few days ago. I think what I'm hearing from all three of you is stop being emotional. If he's transactional, be cold back. Be learn some cold-bloodedness, not sentimentalism, not chest beating, not hand wringing. Play the long game, Rajat, as you were saying. Before I give General Shukla the closing word, Rajat, go ahead. What do you see happening immediately? Firstly, none of us actually know what the penalties will with the penalties what the tariffs will finally be. Secondly, I think Ambassador Puri reminds us that this is a work in progress. It doesn't have to end here. It is going to take some hardball, softball, carrot, stick, everything combined. That's what diplomacy is all about. Rajat, last thoughts?
I would just like to say that we will have to play a long game overall. We will
Yeah.
have to ensure that our core interests are
Okay, we lost Rajat's network there, but I think the gist of what he was saying was play the long game, protect your core interests. General Shukla, I'll give you the closing word.
So, long game, what Rajat
Yeah,
was saying. Now,
yeah.
how should we play this long game? And this is what worries me. Today, the gentleman intimately connected with the strategic conversations in USA are people like Eric Skimmett. I mean, he's saying what should we do in AI, what should we do in
Hmm.
quantum. Part of that competitive studies project, he's in deep touch with the White House. Look at the CEO of NVIDIA. He went and persuaded Trump to say that if the Chinese buy our chips, it is good for us because we have them by the neck. Now, it is the private sector which is making these not only business arguments, but also strategic arguments. In our case, you tell me, Barkha, where is the private sector in all this? Why is somebody from the private sector not on your debate? भाई ये नेशनल सिक्योरिटी ने सरकार पे छोड़ दिया है कि हम पैसे बनाएंगे. I'm not saying a derogatory fashion. It's your
Yeah, yeah,
business to generate wealth, but you have to have these kind of visions. Look at
yeah.
R&D spend. I keep saying USA $975 billion on R&D science, $700 billion from the private sector.
Yeah.
You were speaking of, I think Ambassador Puri spoke of the Deep Seek. अरे भाई डीप सीक का कमर्शियल पार्टनर इज जैक मा क्यूएन. हमारे यहाँ मतलब पैसे वो बना रहे हैं, नेशनल सिक्योरिटी कोई देख रहा है. We have to come together. This is not going to happen. Last quote I'll give you. I was amazed. There's a gentleman called Dr. Panchanathan, Indian American in USA, heading the American Science Foundation. Science Foundation, nothing to do with the military. He says we are the offensive arm of Pentagon. Without us, Pentagon is mere defense. Look at that. Science Foundation guy. These integrated conversations seem to suggest to me that we have not woken up to these threats. I just last point. You saw the debate on Sindoor. It was all historical. Kya hua? Kyo hua? Did you see anybody speak about the futures? What should we do?
Yeah.
When we look ahead? Now, when I raise these issues, it is in this sense. I'm not despondent. I know we are a great country. We are capable of pulling off a lot of things. But unless we do this, how will it happen? Just hope cannot be a strategy.
I think that's the clincher of the day. Just hope cannot be a strategy. Ambassador Puri, I wanted to add something to that before we close. I think we agree. Cold-bloodedness is the response of the order, not chest beating, not hand-wringing, not looking back as much as looking forward. If you had a sentence, Ambassador Puri, did I see you wanting to add something there?
Barkha, Oh, sorry, General Sir, you want to say something?
After you.
जो आपने कहा, look, at the end of the day, the fourth largest becoming third largest economy in the world, the largest country, you have to stand on your own feet. Let's be very clear about that. Okay, in that particular and we have a challenge of an unbelievable kind. We don't have the oceans on both sides to protect us either. We have a challenge on our geography. Okay, given this, our challenges are perhaps even more multifluous as compared to what the West was when they were developing, especially the United States. No open land, no huge amounts of resources, etc. This is a given. So there is no choice in the matter. And so therefore you have to up your economy. If today our debate is on some simple matters about the United States, tariffs, etc., look, we need to engage them. We need them. We need them on the science side. We need them on the money side. We need them on the technology side. We also need them on strategy and so on and so forth, geostrategy, on defense and so on. But we also need to deal with the Chinese now. I know our multi-alignment doesn't mean this, but in reality, if we are down to this G2 business, something that we don't like talking about, I am afraid that also needs to be done. And at least I, for one, believe that at the moment you need them, at least for the foreseeable future, to kick some of these things forward. Your private sector also needs to get up. The private sector says, give us the strength and so on. In small measures, we've started, haven't we? Today, lots of private sector guys are manufacturing something for the defense. Some things are happening. The Anil Ambani company is going to fix the MiG-29, whatever. Small things are happening. We're changing mindsets. We are doing it. But frankly, you need to get your economy. You got to get the entire country going. And think of what General Shukla said. You have multifarious challenges, but you say that you are going to the top of the global table. Therefore, take these challenges on head on. You must.
Absolutely. I agree.
Manifest destiny.
I agree completely. General Shukla, quick 30-second there. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Two quick points. 3-1. What Ambassador Puri says, we are doing stuff, but we are doing it at an Indian rate. It has to be done at the rate of the China challenge. That is not happening. And the second point is, a couple of years back, I was very rosy-eyed about the Americans, and some seasoned diplomats reminded me, Ambassador Venkatesh Verma, and now I see the wisdom of strategic autonomy, which is that you have to stand on your own feet, strategic autonomy in that sense. And the third point is, what Rajat said, I don't see a choice. We have to deal with Trump, wait for a time, and then give it back to him when we stand on our own feet.
Well, absolutely. I think it's called kicking the ball down the road, right? Ambassador Puri, are you trying to say something there?
I don't want to say one little thing. General Sahab, आपने ये strategic autonomy की बात की ना, believe me, let's not just make it a talking point. Believe in it. For many, many years now, we have only used it as a talking point. Understand that. Let's be in agreement on that.
Well, let that be the bottom line. It is time, even if we have been jolted into it, I think it is a reminder of how much you need strategic autonomy, and the stronger your economy is, that strategic autonomy flows from there. That is just the rule of the free market, and the free market applies as much to geopolitics as it does to any other market. That is the bottom line. Thank you, gentlemen. General Shukla, Master Puri, and earlier to Rajat Sethi. Thank you. Have a great evening, and see you all soon.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
See you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good night, sir.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.